Greetings people, it's Jared here, Wolfgang1, back to do another Transformers review. Now this week, I wanted to take a look at something that I thought I was going to have to really put some work into in terms of cleaning it up, new stickers and things like that. And I took a look at it and thought, actually no, do you know what, he's actually good as he is. And I wanted to review something that was just a little bit fucking ridiculous. So I thought I was going to take a look at what is possibly not my favourite toy, don't get me wrong, not my favourite toy, in fact I'll go into that in the review, but it's probably my favourite Transformers character. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a review for a Generation 1 Galvatron. Right, okay, so here is G1 Galvatron in his, I don't fucking know what it is, space cannon mode or something like that. Now, interesting thing to note from this toy is if you think that the toy looks fucking weird compared to the animation model from the '86 movie, that you'd be absolutely correct, because Galvatron was designed animation model first, which is not generally the way they did it back then, because all the toys existed before the cartoon. This is where they started to take a bit of a different approach. So Galvatron was designed animation first, so there was no way realistically that they were going to translate Galvatron's animation model to toy model 100% accurately, to the point where I don't think they really tried. Yeah, I guess there are certain carryovers where you could tell it's Galvatron and things like that, but I mean, for a start, the colour scheme is completely fucking different. I don't know if the original idea was to have Galvatron in these colours and then they switched it out 11th hour or whatever. I don't know. But when it came to the Marvel comic took a third approach, which was hybrid the two. So and the colour scheme for this, 90% of the colour scheme from the G1 toy, and then following sort of the animation model from the movie, except that in the Marvel comics, Galvatron wasn't quite as bulky. He was a lot leaner. And I've got to be honest with you. Is this my favourite toy? Absolutely fucking not. Is he my favourite character? On the other hand, I've had a few years to think about this, and I've got to say yes. Galvatron is my favourite character. Why? Because he's fucking insane. Overpowered is probably the most polite way of putting it. Hellbent, crazy in the G1 cartoon. He goes absolutely mad following a plasma, being stuck in like a plasma pool and that. Eventually gets his mental health back later on down the line and everything like that. In the cartoon, he was always insane, mostly due to the effects of continuous time jumping and things like that, and believing his own bullshit, really. His own arrogance, his own narcissism. So the space cannon mode, Galvatron is a triple changer, and he has a space laser gun mode, which is a sort of a callback to his original form. And I only ever saw it once, and I'll come on to it later. I only ever saw it once, and it was in a panel in the Target 2006 storyline where he's sitting inside Clonus's cockpit, and he's sitting in space laser gun mode. That's the only time I ever recall it ever being a thing. Apart from that, it was either robot mode or space cannon mode. And this is his space cannon mode, and it's Jesus focus, and it's bulky. It really is a bulky toy, and he's easily double the size. Fucking focus, you piece of shit. He's double the size of what he was in his original form, which is Megatron. So in the '86 movie, if you haven't seen it, spoilers, ladies and gentlemen, Megatron is mortally wounded, chucked out into space by Starscream, comes across Orson Welles passing himself off as a planet, and is basically reformatted after a do or die deal, basically. And then takes over voice acting. Leonard Nimoy takes over from Frank Welker from that point on in the movie. The space cannon mode thing in toy form is a lot. How can I put this? It's a lot bulkier than it is in the animation model. So in the animation model, the space cannon mode is a sleek, sweeping design, elegant design. In this, it's a clunky block of bullshit, really. As I said, so there was going to be no easy way of transferring that to toy design, especially if you think of the era in which this came out, 1986. you were never, the toy technology wasn't there basically to basically convincingly portray that in toy form. So let's have a look at some of the things that Galvatron comes with. So let's set him off to one side. He would have come with an instruction booklet that I don't have. He'd have come with a tech spec decoder for the back of his box. He would have come with a product sheet for the 1986 line, which you know, it has Metroplex on it, or the protector box, and that's Cyclonus, Scourge, the Stunticons, Galvatron up in the top corner there, and some fantastic, some fantastic artwork on the back with him facing off against Magnus. Obviously, their toy forms facing off against each other. Makes for some interesting art, but sadly Magnus was not that poseable. So a bit of false advertising there, but whatever. So yeah, so that was the product sheet. He also came with one handheld blaster. Let's bring that forward a little bit. One handheld blaster, which this version sits very, very loose in the hands of the robot mode. The original that I had as a kid, that was like sort of tight in there. There was no wiggling about or anything like that. This one, on the other hand, it's not a reproduction, it's an original, but for some reason doesn't quite fit the hands of the figure. He comes with this purple piece here, which is a connector for the barrel of his particle cannon that would fit on his arm. There's no real place to store this in alt mode, although I did come up with a hack that doesn't quite work. And he also comes with the barrel for the cannon and stroke particle cannon. So barrel for his robot, his alt mode, and his primary weapon in robot mode. And this actually does split apart. It's done in a lovely translucent orange plastic with lots of sparkly shit in it, and it does pop apart. I'm not going to do it now. And I know that pops apart because I lost the front end of this when I was a kid. So because guess who was a wanker when they were a child, ladies and gentlemen. So this is Generation 1 Galvatron in his basic alt mode. Stick that in the top just there, and that's the barrel. Now, if you want to store this piece just here in alt mode, as I said, there's no real easy way to do it unless you slide it on, stick it there, and then bring the rest of the cannon back down like that. But then he ends up shooting, I'd say, eventually the floor, probably about 6 feet in front of him. So that doesn't really work. I was just testing shit to see what worked. And yeah, as I said, it's not my favourite toy by any stretch of the imagination. I loved this as a kid because I always wanted a G1 Megatron, and obviously I never had a G1 Megatron until much later in life. So for me, for the movie, when Megatron becomes Galvatron, this was my justification when I'd say, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I have a G1 Megatron. And in my games, he had more of a split personality, which is a bit of a strange thing for a 7-year-old child to be playing around with. So there was always that game in my games when I was a kid, where the personality of Megatron was actually fighting for dominance over Galvatron. So it's good to go show how weird I was. That would have actually made a really, really interesting cartoon episode. But anyway, so yeah, he has like little wheels on the bottom of his tank treads here, and a little wheel on the bottom there, so you can roll him along if you want. It doesn't really work. These things are maneuverable because reasons. Yeah, it's a bit ungainly, it's a bit awkward, but for some reason this is fucking great. I've got no real justification as to why I think it's great, but it just is. For me, I think the colours work really, really well. I would have loved to have got the e-hobby version where it was like animation accurate colours and that, but at the same time, I just love how ridiculous this is. There is I wasn't going to review Galvatron for ages because I thought to myself, I need to re-sticker him and sort of shit like that. But actually, looking at him, the stickers on this are not too bad, which is why I decided to go ahead and do it. The only one that's maybe slightly dodgy is this one just here. But even that, ladies and gentlemen, I think you can see, even that is not too bad at all. So I thought, you know what? Throw caution to the wind. I'm not going to bother re-stickering this. I'm just going to go all in as it is. So let's take this guy to laser cannon, laser gun mode, which is just crap. I mean, there was no reason to make this a triple changer. In fact, this mode here has all the hallmarks of a fan wank mode, right, as opposed to actually anything official. But I'm going to take the barrel off for now because otherwise that'll just fucking fall off. Let's start by folding these two things just in like this. We then bring this out. I think bring the tank treads around and then fold them out and then flip the whole thing upside down. Okay, so do that on both sides like that, fold that around like that, bring up the targeting scope thing just like this. Okay, bring down this section here, right, because this is so fucking awkward I can't even get it on screen, right? So ignore all the shit in the background, right? So, and then what you do is you get the light out of the way, and then you just stick the barrel on there. And ladies and gentlemen, that is Galvatron's laser gun mode, which is fucking horseshit. I've got to, I mean, the arms don't, if I would have expected the arms to sit flush to the body if they were going to do that, but no, there's no sense of any kind of logical thinking in terms of the engineering on this one. So there is this is absolute bollocks. Sits very nicely in the hand, don't get me wrong, but a lot like Shockwave does. Now this was a battery operated toy. This took a 9-volt battery in the chest, which I will Jesus, let's get that down. So if we open up, get his fucking thing out of the way, open this up somehow. But basically this chest is supposed to open, right? There we go. And then you pull this section down here, and there's a connector for a 9-volt battery and everything like that. And now, what did Galvatron sound like? Well, he had 3 sounds, which were all controlled from this little switch just here. Sound 1, sound 2, and sound 3. Okay. He had a button for the cannon mode just here, and obviously the trigger for the laser gun mode just here. And what did it sound like, ladies and gentlemen? Well, if you could imagine a Dalek being routed by a badger, claws first. Okay, that's basically the various stages of being routed by a badger. That's exactly what Galvatron sounded like. The most obnoxious, high-pitched wail screaming you can imagine. So so when I think to myself, what did Galvatron? I can't remember what Galvatron sounded like, and then I just think to myself, a Dalek being fisted by a badger, and that's exactly what it was. So that is Galvatron's fucking laser gun mode. It's fucking shit, right? I mean, I think this is a cool toy. As I said, not my favourite toy in the whole world. But this really does not lend it any gravitas whatsoever. This is all kinds of horseshit. Okay, so let's take him back to cannon mode, I guess. So we do this, fold that down, bring that back down, bring that back down, sit this back down, get him back into something approaching stability, which, you know, in itself is a bit of a fucking well, then again, this is quite old, this toy, and it's not as stiff as it used to be. I have heard that before. Right, so that's, come on, fucking sit together, you cunt of a thing. There we go. Right, so that's Galvatron in his space cannon mode. The mode that he finally took Starscream down with. Yeah, and I'd say out of the 2 alt modes, this is definitely the one that's more successful, even though it's a blocky, awkward fucking mess of a thing. I mean, you would hope that the knees would sit underneath these things. They would tab under. No, that's just held there by the grace of God, if nothing else. And that's it. But we take him to robot mode. Okay, now the robot mode is big. Okay, he's very, very tall. So we'll start off by taking off the barrel once again. Okay, and then we are going to extend this back section just here, like this. they also then pop apart and slide on this hinge just here. There's actually, I didn't really notice this, but there's a metal plate just back here. So they were still using metal in the construction at the time. Then we are going to take these black tabs here. We are going to fold them out for his very, very small feet. So, okay, like that. And then we're going to take these two sections and fold them down to the sides. Okay. Then we're going to raise the camera up, because why not? We're going to take this section just here, and we're going to move this to the back and raise it up. Okay. Spin the entire top section around like that. Let's see if I can get that a little bit further back so we can see what we're doing. There we go. Right, so then we take these sections, pull the tank treads back down, fold them back under the arms like this, pull out these two grey tabs for the hands and forearms, and then straighten them up, bring them back down to the sides, lift these sections up like this. I can't do that because the body's in the way. All right, so bring this section round and all the way back to the top. Bring the entire chest section down to reveal the head, like that, and then lift these sections up like that. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is Galvatron in his robot mode. And it does, and for 1986 toy technology, right, it does an okay job of depicting Galvatron's animation model, but there are so many things that just don't quite sit right. In order to make it like 100% like legit, and I'm okay with that. Because later on down the line we've got the Kingdom Galvatron, which was fantastic. Third-party offerings have been like really interesting to look at. Fans Toys Sovereign knocks it out of the fucking park. I really want one of those. And the less said about Classics Galvatron, the better. Everybody knows what I mean. To finish off his look, we are going to take this section just here, and then the barrel, connect them together, and then stick them on his arm. Now, this can go on either arm, but I'm going to put it in the conventional place. And that's Galvatron in his robot mode. And I know I'm going to give you a size comparison with Megatron, right? Look at this. He's considerably larger than Megatron, right? I guess to emulate his all-powerful fucking status and everything. Yeah, we're fully aware of all that. But for me, the size, I mean, I would have much preferred Galvatron to have been sort of this one. The size for me kind of made him almost a little bit ungainly when I was a kid. Having said that, however, he's bloody brilliant. And he's got no excuse. He's got no reason to be brilliant at all. I mean, he's got a little bit of articulation in this mode. I mean, his arms will go around the full 360. They go out to the side. These fold in and around, but that's due to transformation. His legs, however, will go back and forwards at the hip, and will bend at the knee as well. So you can get him into a pose that I wouldn't have really expected from an 86 toy. Now, this cannon here, it doesn't sit on the arm quite as well as the one that I had as a kid, but it does clip on and is held there by friction. Okay. So yeah, that's Generation 1 Galvatron. And to prove a point on this puxy fucking gun thing as well, that he never used, put it in his arm. But as you can see, there was a lot of give there. It's not supposed to be that loose. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm not willing to put clear nail varnish around the handle of the gun just to make it stiffer, because I never give him the gun anyway. He never used it. He never had it in the cartoon as far as I'm aware. So as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't exist. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Generation 1 Galvatron, and because of the 9-volt battery powered fucking Dalek fisting ability that he's got, he had some of the original examples of light piping as well. So if I bring this guy forward a little bit and raise the camera and bring the light back round here, see, you can see that. So when the barrel is plugged into the top of his head and you're making all the sound effects and the Dalek is screaming for help, the barrel would flash, and it will be controlled from this flashing light piping just here. So yeah, he's got some of the original light piping. So I think that's pretty cool. Would I recommend a Generation 1 Galvatron? In a way, yes. In a way, no. In a way, yes, in the sense that he is the first iteration, toy iteration of Galvatron, so he has a special place in history for that. And if you can get over how fucking awkward and ridiculous he is, then I'd say go for it. If you're a Galvatron collector, then obviously he's a no-brainer. No, in the sense that disable the I mean, I've disabled like sort of the thing by taking the 9-volt battery, because when I got this it actually had a 9-volt battery in it, and I just went not a fucking chance. He's not the greatest toy in the world. He's a bit awkward looking. He takes up a lot of space in one of those glass display shelves and that. So there are drawbacks to him. But there is something about him that cannot be denied. I'd say Galvatron is a sort of make your own judgment. I picked him up because obviously I'm a G1 collector and I'm a whore for this sort of shit. He is, yeah, he's awkward. He's awkward as fuck, but at the same time there is something. Despite the fact he doesn't look really anything like his character model in the movie or the cartoon, or necessarily the comics. In fact, in the comics, when the first panel that he properly appears in Target 2006, when he travels back in time, they used this model as his first depiction, and then after that, in every subsequent issue after that, they went for a sort of sleeker, leaner, meaner thing. But his original panel, it was pretty much this. So, yeah, I mean, would I recommend him? It's entirely up to you. I mean, I like him, but then again, I'm a bit of a prick for this sort of thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my review for Generation 1 Galvatron. I do hope you enjoyed this. I'll be back next week with something else that's not this. Something maybe a little bit exciting. It might not be that exciting. I don't know. We're going to throw caution to the wind on that one. I do hope you enjoyed this. Please leave a comment, like, subscribe if you haven't done so already, because I keep forgetting to tell people to do that. Tell me if you ever owned this figure, if you liked it, if you didn't, and what were your gripes. Let's get a conversation going with him. Yeah, he is what he is, and he is, above all else, an awkward piece of shit. So there we are. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this. I'll be back next week. Until we see each other again, thank you and take care.